All right, so the next one here, a poll finds that 73% of Filipinos support military action against China. So this article is from the South China Morning Post, and this might not sound that relevant to you if you're, an American or something. But you got to remember, this is an area of the world where the U.S. is committed to going to war if war breaks out, committed to intervening and defending the Philippines. So a new survey indicates an overwhelming majority of Filipinos support both military action and diplomacy to counter China's perceived threat in the South China Sea, which analysts say reflects growing public support for President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s increasingly assertive stance on the territorial dispute. And one reason why he's increasingly assertive is because he's being backed by the U.S., who does not seem to be calling for any restraint on the Philippine side at all. So this survey, conducted in March as part of a series by private pollster Okta Research, tracking Filipino attitudes on the South China Sea dispute, showed that 73% of the 1,200 respondents nationwide favored further asserting the Philippines' territorial rights through military action such as expanded naval patrols and troop presence in the West Philippine Sea. And that refers to the portion of the South China Sea that the Philippines asserts as its maritime territory, which consists of 12 nautical miles of territorial sea and 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone, as well as the Kalayaan Island group located outside of the zone. So they have claims that go even beyond that. EEZ, that's 200 miles. However, resorting to diplomacy was a close second to military action in the survey, so let's hope that that is the path that the Philippines ultimately takes, but there's certainly been a lot of tensions and tense encounters between these Chinese and Philippine vessels in the South China Sea, which we've been covering on this show. And again, I know I always say this, but whenever these things happen, the U.S. comes out and says, condemns China, they can, for whatever happened, and they remind China the U.S.-Philippine Mutual Defense Treaty applies to attacks on Philippine vessels in the South China Sea.